Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schleck, part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, as always, on Wednesdays, is my good friend Alex Spears. Alex, what's up?
What's up, Andrew? It's game day.
Dude, it's here. We get to see the Thunder play a real live game that matters, that counts in the standings, that counts toward the tanking. All happening today.
How exciting. We get to watch Rudy Gobert
against center unknown.
Don't you have to imagine that if they were ever debating whether to start Derek Favors, if you were going to do it, you would have to do it tonight. I mean, you can't throw Roby out there against Rudy Gobert, right?
I mean, I think you can.
Actually,
yes.
I guess you can because it's not like Gobert's punishing you on the offensive end. Like, who cares?
He's not punishing on the offensive end. And, I mean, they're going to be just undermanned in the middle no matter what happens.
But don't you want to honor Derek Favors' revenge game, Andrew? Don't you want to honor that?
I don't know. I really just don't want to give them any chance. This is what I want. Not that Favors is going to like completely shift the game. Like, oh, the strategy that shifted the game was Derek Favors starting. But I mean, I don't know. Like, remember the first game of last season? It was like the Thunder played well and won on a Shea game-winning shot, you know?
And we were like, well, that's not going to happen a lot.
Like, oh,
savor that
cute.
win.
Cute job, Thunder team, you know? And they were like pretty good for a little while. So
will it be the same tonight?
Yeah. The thing about this, like the Jazz are going to be really good. I think most people have the Jazz finishing in the top 3, if not like with the best record in the West.
They do. That is true. That is very like conventional wisdom right now because they feel like the safest team. Like they brought everyone back. Yeah. If anything, they, getting rid of Derek Favors and adding Rudy Gay feels like a positive move just because they can be a little bit more versatile. So yeah, everyone seems pretty high on the Jazz.
More Rudy. They just need more Rudy. They saw the Rudy they were getting. They were saying we need to add to the Rudy.
Let's go get Rudy Fernandez. Bring him back.
Are there any other Rudies in the NBA? I think that's it. I think they've got 100% of the Rudies.
Yes, I think that's true.
They'd have to. I mean, they just have to. Let us know in the chat if there's more Rudies that we're not.
Yeah, drop us a line if you know any more Rudies.
So tonight should be really fun. You have the Joe Ingles, Josh Giddey element, which is pretty fun.
Will someone tweet the Spider-Man meme about Josh Giddey and Joe Ingles tonight?
Okay. Who's
going to do it?
Are there odds out there of who the first Thunder fan to tweet that is?
I could see a national person doing it. Actually, that would require them watching the game, but I could see people wanting to see the Jazz.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm covering like all of tonight for the Athletic podcast.
That sounds fun.
And I just look at it, I'm like, man, not sure if I'll watch the Thunder game live or not, because there's some pretty important games going on tonight.
Not high on the Daily Dings priority list.
It's not super high.
Starting off the second night of the season, the Utah Jazz played the Oklahoma City Thunder tonight. They won 140-60.
Yeah, I don't know if that's going to be on the table for tonight. But it should. I'm anxious to watch them to see how they look. The Mitchell SGA matchup is pretty intriguing to me overall, and then let's just see how they look in the middle, because it's going to be, it's still a mystery as to what they're going to do with the starting center position. But man, I'm looking forward to it. I look forward to this team every year, and this is no exception. There's some interesting characters on this particular team.
Yeah, and the thing I think we're all very interested in is, in the preseason, didn't have Kenny Hustle. Derek Favors didn't play a ton. What do the rotations look like? Yeah. Who of the young guys are going to get left out or will only be playing garbage time minutes to start us off? Because, we got to see a lot of Trey Mann in the preseason. We got to see a lot of JRE. We got to see a lot of these young guys. Aaron Wiggins.
Yeah.
Which of these guys are going to play any meaningful minutes? I think it'll be Jerry, but I don't know.
My guess is that all those guys will play meaningful minutes.
Really, right out the gate.
Maybe not Wiggins. Like Wiggins, just because he's on a two-way, maybe not. But I'd be pretty surprised if Trey Man wasn't in the rotation. I'd be pretty surprised. They're going to play a lot of guards. Like they just have to play a lot of guards because that's all they've got on the team. But they're going to play a lot of guards.
Yeah, they'll have to play a ton of guards. Yeah, I'm excited. It's been so long. It actually hasn't. Yeah. It's been like less than 90 days or whatever.
I was going to say, this is our third season in like a calendar year.
Not enough, Andrew.
I need more.
Next off season, we are going to be bored as hell because it'll be the first like normal off season.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Like we probably won't see Thunder basketball. Well, I guess it would be the same as this year. Would it not be this? When was their last game this year? I don't even remember.
In May, right?
Okay. So I guess it'll be about the same.
Yeah.
Opening night though.
Opening night, some really good, man. The Bucks looked so good last night, and Giannis in particular looked even better, more improved. He was shooting the free throws faster. His jump shot looked really good, and that may just be like a one night thing where his jump shot's really, really going. But he looked like the MVP. He looked like the best player. He was amazing.
Yeah, it was there's an element to it where it's like, are we doing with Giannis right now what we did to Devin Booker last year, where it's like it feels like there is a segment of the NBA population who didn't watch a ton of Bucks games over these last few years. And isn't this the guy who won back-to-back MVPs? Like, hasn't he been this great for a while? But now it like something about it feels different because he won that ring, where we're now starting to appreciate all of the great things he does way more than we did previously, because now it feels real to us. Now it's like, okay, now we know for a fact that this guy, the way he plays, all of his great skills actually translates into winning. And so now we can fully accept him in the way that we fully accepted Dirk after 2011. It just like puts you into a different tier when you watch these players now. And yeah, I felt the same way. It was like watching Giannis in a totally new light, even though he's been this great player for a long time.
Yeah, but to me, it wasn't. Giannis didn't look like the best player against the Nets last year in that series.
I guess that's true.
It was clearly Kevin.
Yeah, and to be fair, like all the preseason rankings, most of them had Kevin Durant number one still.
Yeah, and that will probably still look like that maybe in a few weeks. But I will say on night one, Giannis looked better on both ends than Kevin did, and not like Kevin was bad. Like obviously Kevin was really good. But yeah, I would say that Giannis just stuck out more aesthetically as a guy he was just dominant.
Yeah, and Jordan Nwora, who I'm so thankful because I almost tweeted something negative about Jordan Nwora in the first half because I thought he was terrible. Like especially defensively, like he was just getting lost. He didn't look like he knew what he was doing on the defensive side, and he wasn't hitting his shots. And then there was that three that he hit probably sometime in the third quarter. And then after that, he was just like amazing. And then I thought Grayson Allen looked really good.
He was good.
George Hill didn't. I mean, he kind of I don't think he looked as good as he did when he played for the Thunder. So that's still like a work in progress. We'll see how much he has left in the tank. But it does feel, because they still have guys out, like Dante DiVincenzo's out, Drew Holiday went out early. But they felt deeper in a real way than they have in previous years.
Yeah, when I saw Drew go down, I was like, oh, okay, well, it's probably going to be the Nets to take. And the Nets, there's just spots in the rotation where you're like, oh, like I don't know that this LaMarcus Aldridge thing is going to really work out for them.
No, that seemed, yeah. I mean, maybe if they're playing the Lakers, just another old guy, like probably no issues there. But yeah, coming out of that game is like they need another big man. They need something else down low.
And it's funny, and they've got like Paul Millsap, LaMarcus Aldridge, Blake Griffin. Like Blake didn't look great last night either.
Yeah.
And like there's a world where those three, you get to December and those you look at those three and you're like, yeah, probably not big minute guys anymore.
Yes, I agree. At the same time, like that was the best team they're probably going to play for the foreseeable future. They're going to rack up
True.
wins against all these terrible teams. So I'm still feeling good. We both took the over, which they had the highest over
Yeah.
under. I'm still feeling fine about that. But
Mm-hmm.
I do think you can make the argument, like after watching that game last night, maybe they don't need Kyrie for the regular season, but that obviously would have dramatically changed that game last night, having Kyrie
Mm-hmm.
on the floor in addition to Harden and KD.
Yeah. Also, making free throws would have helped. They shot almost the same percentage from three as they did from the free throw line last night.
Ooh, that's
56%
cool.
to 53%. And I don't know. I mean, they shot 53% from three. They hit 17 threes. Patty Mills was like unstoppable from beyond. He was 7 of 7. I mean, like they played a good game. Like they got good stuff from a lot of guys, and the Bucks just looked better. And that doesn't mean the Bucks are better. That doesn't mean the Bucks are going to win the whole thing. But just in one night, it's like, huh, okay. Like I don't understand why Bruce Brown didn't play because their defense was a mess. And you thought, well, if anybody could help, it would probably be Bruce Brown. But they
Yeah.
went with James Johnson instead, maybe probably just because he's bigger. But still, there were just some confusing things about that Nets squad last night.
I'm you mentioned that they almost shot the same from 3-point percentage that they did from the line. So now I'm on StatHead and I'm trying to find out if
Oh,
there
no.
is a player in NBA history who has shot it really well from 3-point percentage and shot it terribly from the line.
Bruce
And,
Bowen?
here's some yes, Bruce Bowen, 2004, 2005, shot 40% from 3 and he shot where's the free throw percentage? Oh, he shot 63% from the line.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Oh, you
Yep.
know who's on track right now? Carmelo after last night.
On a pace.
Shooting exactly 50% from both the line and the 3-point line. Wow. RJ
Wow.
Hunter. RJ Hunter did it.
RJ Hunter. Wow.
Wow.
Head case Hunter. Man, that's
Oh,
wild.
Earl Watson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in 2005,
That's
2006.
a weird one.
Yeah,
Earl
Patrick
Watson.
Beverly, Al Harrington, Chandler Parsons, Mike Bibby, Omri Caspi. A lot of good names in here. Hito.
Wow.
Okay.
Hito. Wow. Okay, let's move on to the second game of the night, which is more Thunder adjacent than the other game. The
Yes.
Lakers lose to the Warriors in night one, and I would say the Lakers are just a fascinating team to watch. Honestly, like I enjoyed almost every single minute of that game. Just I don't really know what to think of them. I think it's going to take some time. They looked really clunky for the most part on the offensive end outside of Anthony Davis and LeBron James. And I know they're missing guys. I mean, missing Taylor Horton Tucker is a pretty big deal. Ariza, less of a big deal because I don't like who's better, Kent Bazemore or Trevor Ariza. Like, I think the answer is who cares. But the most fascinating thing is the Russell Westbrook element, right? Like we knew that
Yeah.
Anthony Davis and LeBron James could do their thing. And it was all about what does Russell Westbrook look like on the court with them? Is he going to, play off ball? Is he going to set screens? Is he going to be cutting to the rim? And he struggled, like straight up just struggled. Didn't really seem like he knew what to do or where to go or how to play with these guys yet. And he was missing shots that he's going to make. Like he missed a shot at the rim that just kind of like toilet bowled out. There was just lots of like little moments where I was like, okay, like that's unsustainably bad for Russ. He took 4 threes, probably needs to be more of Rockets Russ when it comes to that. But overall looked pretty terrible.
Yeah. I mean, even if you were someone who disliked Russell Westbrook, what are the things that he does good offensively that like we would all agree on? Haters and lovers alike, what would they agree on? Well, he's still a very good playmaker.
Yeah.
And there were so few moments last night where he brought the ball up the court and
Mm-hmm.
initiated the offense. It was usually LeBron, but there were even times when Rondo was on the court and Rondo was the one bringing up the ball.
I was gonna say the Rondo fit is even more perplexing.
I-
Wouldn't
Yeah,
it be better if they had like some kind of spot up shooter in that role? Like now it feels like they have too many guys to handle the ball.
yeah, like going back to the Bucks, like you would much rather have old guy George Hill than old guy Rondo for this particular Lakers team. Just
Yeah,
someone
no
who
doubt.
doesn't really need the ball, even though he technically could play like some point guard for you. And so what happens is Russ on like I would say 80% of these offensive plays, he's in the corner like Andre Robertson, like hands on his knees, just like hanging out. Like actually, like not even hanging out. He's just standing there. He could be
Yeah.
frozen in time, not moving.
The
Now there
defense
were
doesn't care. I mean,
defense doesn't care.
it is wild.
And there were a few times where they did what the Wizards did, where they did what Houston did, which is, you know, you have Harden, you have Beal bringing up the ball. They pass to Russ, who looks like he's not doing anything out at 3 point line, and all of a sudden he just bursts to the rim.
Mm-hmm.
And that
Mm-hmm.
play can work, and I do think that is going to have to be more of what he does.
Yeah.
But it's different because, you know, on that Rockets team, that worked because they didn't have Clint Capella, and
Yeah.
they had made the trade, and it worked in for the Wizards because their starting center had gotten hurt. Like last night, if that's really going to be their starting lineup, that like on the one hand, AD was playing far away from the basket, like
Mm-hmm.
in a good way. But if DeAndre Jordan's going to be there, like that type of play to get Russ going is going to be much harder to do. And so, yeah, it just looks super clunky, and it doesn't seem to be putting Russ in a position to succeed or do what he does best, while at the same time acknowledging that, you know what, LeBron's probably better. Like, you'd
Dude.
rather have the ball in LeBron's hands, but
Yeah.
the trade-off there is like significant because Russ is giving you close to nothing off ball on so many of those offensive possessions, where at least when LeBron is off ball, you feel like that's going to be a threat, even if he's standing there. Because
Yeah.
like the shot was falling for LeBron last night.
Yeah. Which just like begs the question, like, what, like, go through the thought process of Buddy Hield versus Russ, you know?
Yeah. Well,
Because like what do you want with a LeBron James team? It's not like we haven't seen it for the last 18 years what you need next to LeBron. And every year it's like, oh man, they get through half the season like, man, they could really use some more shooting. Like every single year, Cavs, Lakers, doesn't matter who it is, Heat. Every year, it's like, man, like they just need one more shooter. They just need to go get a shooter. Why not? You had the guy who might take the most threes in the NBA if he plays with LeBron and is going to make in the 40, he's going to make in the 40s. Like that's what he does.
yeah.
And like instead of Russ standing in the corner with his hands on his knees, you have Buddy Hield there and somebody glued to him and you open up the lanes. And I thought that from the beginning, like it just made more sense to bring in Buddy Hield. And it's not like, oh, Russ is toast, like Russ will never play again, blah blah blah. I just don't love the fit. Just the overall fit has always been kind of clunky. I still think that they're going to be better than they were last night, and I think when they get their role players back, they're going to make some trades. Like I find it hard to believe that it's going to be Melo, Dwight Howard, Rondo, Avery Bradley off the bench for them all season. You know,
Yeah, it's a bad fit for the Lakers, but it's also a bad fit for Russ because
no doubt,
on the
no
few
doubt.
plays where he was able to drive and kick, it's like he's there was a play where he kicked it out to Rondo. It's like, yeah, I get that he's shot it better from three, but like this is not ideal. Or even kicking it to LeBron, who like
Hmm.
had a good shooting night last night, but is traditionally not thought of like this knockdown 3 point shooter. Like, who is he kicking it out to? And when Taylor Horton Tucker gets back, like, what, you're kicking it out to him?
Yeah,
Like, there are
I
just
know.
so few options, even compared to last year with the Wizards. I mean, they had Bertans, they had Garrison Matthews, they had Bradley Beal. Like, they had
Hmm.
legit shooting options for Westbrook to kick out to. And with this team, it's just like like Anthony Davis, he shoots like 30 to 33% from three at best.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
yeah I agree. It's a bad fit for Russell too. I also just don't know what Russ looks like as like a with like median usage. Like how is he impactful if his usage rate is like closer to 20%?
Yeah, there's you could squint and tell yourself, "Ooh, maybe we'll get Olympic Russ." Because
Yeah,
Russ, when he went to the Olympics with those guys, he wasn't the main guy, and he still was very valuable to that team. But he was
yeah.
also so much younger
I was
and
gonna
could
say it's been a
just
minute.
he could just be chaotic on the floor for every single minute he was on the floor, and
Hmm.
he's just not going to be able to sustain that over an 82 game season.
Yeah. Now I will say there were things last night that I saw from Russ that I was like, okay, like that's going to be so helpful to them. Like the offensive rebound, like tips. I guess he only had one, but it seemed like he had more to me. But just like getting into like mixing it up and getting rebounds and stuff like that is going to be helpful to the Lakers. And if they just give him the ball a little bit more and just like cut this Rondo stuff out, like I think that they could benefit from that. Uh, just giving Russ just a little bit more.
Right.
But again, like you need shooting for that to be impactful. And it's funny, like every year it's like, what do we need around Russ? More shooting. What do we need around LeBron? More shooting. What are the Lakers doing? Collecting old all stars.
Yeah,
Like
it reminds me of that team, the Bulls team, when they got Dwayne Wade and they
oh
also had
man,
Rondo,
yeah,
where it
they
was like
did.
just from the jump, you're like, this doesn't make sense. Like, I get these
Yeah,
guys are big names, but like, what are you doing?
yeah, yeah. That's rough. The Warriors side, they looked okay. Like they looked pretty good. They got some good production off the bench, which was good, like the main concern. Like Andre Iguodala looked pretty good. Like that was like that's a pretty big deal for them if he can continue to look like that. Bielitsa looks awesome for them. Like
Yeah,
not only looked awesome, but also looked like David Lee. Like I was got
exactly. Like
multiple
David
texts
Lee.
and it was like weird. Like is that? Wait a minute. He looked great, man. He looked really good. Shot the ball well. Was facilitating. That was a really interesting storyline from the preseason with the Warriors. Was that like Draymond Green said in like a post practice scrum that like that he didn't know that Bielitsa could do all that stuff with the ball. And
Yeah,
I think everybody that has watched Bielitsa his whole career is like didn't know that either. Didn't know that he was capable of that. But he like brought the ball up for the Warriors on several occasions and was facilitating a ton. I mean, he finished with 15, 11, and 4 on 6 of 7 from the field. It was just kind of strange because you saw him with the Heat last year and you were like, oh man, that guy might be toast. Like this might be it
yeah.
for Nemanja. But he looked great. The Warriors really have kind of unlocked some stuff with
And
him. And then yeah.
he did have some good years in Sacramento because I remember
Yeah, sure.
Bielitsa, you know, being a fantasy basketball guy
Mhm.
because he was that nice combo of like getting you some boards and also hitting threes. But yeah, he looks like a completely different player because it did seem like he was on his way out of the league. And it's only
Mhm.
one game, but he looks great. And it was really a tale of two halves for that Warriors team because of the first half, like Jordan Poole
Boy.
didn't look great,
Mm-mm.
and it felt like, oh my gosh, if Steph doesn't have a good game, like how is this team going to win? And then the second half, they did exactly that because Steph never
Yeah.
really got going, and yet they were still able to win relatively comfortably too.
Yeah. Yeah, by the end it was pretty clear that they were going to win. They had a great fourth quarter. They beat the Lakers 38-29 in the fourth. They looked pretty good. And you add Clay to that mix and you I don't know if you move Poole to the bench as like your six-man weapon or whatever you do, like that will help. So far so good for the Warriors. Okay, Al, right after this quick break, we're going to come back and we're going to do Thunder preseason superlatives. And we're back from that quick break. We are going to talk about this Thunder team and give some preseason superlatives. So, Al, our first one is the prospect with the most potential in the preseason. Thoughts?
I mean, it's not even a competition, Andrew.
Okay.
Why even bother having the award? I say, just name it after him. Call it the Josh Giddey Award. Have,
Woo! Okay.
have we ever had a prospect in Thunder history who's gotten us this excited in
Wow.
preseason?
I mean,
I'm counting on no one having memory of preseason games, so that
yeah, I was
they
gonna
can't
say.
even combat me. They can't even argue with me because why would you
Especially
remember that?
rookie year. So we didn't get
Yeah,
Kevin Durant's rookie preseason.
we did not.
We got Russell's.
It, but the thing was, because Giddy did not play in summer league, the excitement that we got in the preseason was going to be higher than an average player. Because even if
Yeah.
Russ had been great in summer league and then was great in preseason or whatever, we saw flashes. It would have we would have felt about the same.
Mm-hmm.
So
What about
yes,
James Harden? Do you have a recollection of James Harden's preseason?
uh, not at all. I
No.
remember his draft night, and that is all I remember.
Yeah.
I was at the
Um,
student union in the University of Oklahoma, Andrew, by myself.
for the draft? You were?
Yeah, for that draft.
Oh. I was at Buffalo Wild Wings with Dane and Dusty and
Oh, damn, dude! Thanks for the invite.
sorry, dude.
I probably had some late night studying at the library.
Probably so. Yeah, I mean, Giddy, man, he was really good. He was really, really good in the preseason. He looked great. And like other candidates, I think it's hard to watch him and Poku play and say it's Poku. I think before the preseason, I think we would have picked Poku, don't you think?
Possibly without having seen Giddy at all. Now,
Yeah.
Hoopstock 69 in the chat, he throws in a vote for Trey Mann.
Ooh, Trey Mann looked a lot better in that last game. Like, it looked way more comfortable. He was actually getting to that step back like you'd want him to. He is starting to get it, and that was good to see because there were just a lot of things with him at first that you were just like, oh man, like where is that? And obviously, like we just want to see it all like right away, but it takes time.
Right.
But yeah, he looked good. I was impressed. He had some really nice moments. So like Trey Mann's a candidate, Poku's a candidate still, even though he had a like crazy up and down preseason, which will probably be the case for his entire season. Would be my guess is that we'll have high highs and low lows with Poku, just because that's where he is right now, and hopefully he's really what we want to see from him is just consistency. And I think we're still a little bit of ways away from seeing that from him. But yeah, that's probably it. And unless you still want to consider SGA a prospect, I think maybe some people around the NBA would.
Yeah.
Dort, you think you could
Dort.
see some more from Dort? Frank Turman in the chat says Aaron Wiggins.
Okay.
You big Wiggins guy? I actually liked what I saw from him. I mean, I don't think that we'd consider him for this, but I actually really liked almost everything I saw from him. I think he deserves at least some run this season.
Sure, but this is prospect with the
Your house.
most potential, Andrew. Okay, we are now at the stage of like the MVP discussion. Do they deserve a seat at the table, Andrew?
Yeah. No, it's Josh. This
Josh
one is
Giddey.
Josh. It's Josh, and his this season, like how highly we think of him, will hinge on what his shot looks like. Like, what does his shot look like over 82 games?
Yeah, for sure. That's
so I'm very interested to see that. Okay, second one. The future Nick Collison. Who is future Nick Collison on this roster? I believe that there will be a player on this roster that 10 years down the line will still be here, will be a Thunder fan favorite. And you think about Nick, like Nick is if Nick bounced around the league, I think we talked about this, like Patrick Patterson or somebody like that. Like nobody really cares, right? Like it's just like whatever. But because he stayed here, he was loyal. Everybody loved him, loved the way he played. That he has his jersey in the rafters. That doesn't happen
Yeah.
probably anywhere else. So who is our future Nick Collison? I believe that there's a player on this roster that will be our future Nick Collison.
I mean, I could see a lot of people immediately going to Mike Muscala for obvious reasons,
Yeah.
but that would not be my choice because key point about Nick Collison, he was here a decade.
Yeah.
Muscala is only entering his third season. I feel pretty confident he will not be getting anywhere close to a decade with the Thunder.
Yeah.
In which case, I think the obvious choice is Jeremiah Robinson Earl
Yeah. That seems
because
right.
he's got the personality, it seems. He's a glue guy.
Yeah.
And you could go with a Kenny Hustle, but again, is he really going to be here for the next 7 years? Possible, but
I think that's possible.
it's possible.
It is very possible. JRE fits that role well just because he plays the same position as Nick, and it's easier to profile that. But I'm going to go with Kenny Hustle. There's just something about this guy that everybody loves. And the thing about him that's similar to Nick is that Nick was a little bit older than the rest of the group whenever they came to OKC. So Kenny Hustle is just a few years older than these guys too. He really helps set a professional tone for these guys. And I don't know, man. I think that there's a chance that he hangs around and I could see him being a helpful player for a really long time. Not that Jerry is not. But the thing about Nick was that he was kind of a leader from day one. And I can kind of see that it's obviously happening with Kenny Hustle too. So
and this also
that's why I would
requires
take
them
him.
getting their jersey retired. So this is a high bar to clear.
It's a high bar. Just the way that guys light up when they talk about him is enough for me to think, okay, if he feels like the guy, and they had a chance to trade him at the deadline,
Yeah.
or even over the summer. You don't think teams were calling about him? Of course, teams want Kenrich Williams. Kenrich Williams would have really helped the Lakers last night. He could have, really helped the Nets. He could be in the rotation for these guys. He's big enough to guard lots of positions. He hits shots. He's gritty. He's character-wise, there's very few guys that are better than him. So,
yeah.
And it's an incredible story. His story from high school to the NBA is one of the more unique stories amongst these guys. So, yeah, I'm a big Kenny Hustle guy. Okay, number 3, most overrated by the fan base, Al.
I mean, it has to be Poku. Yeah, and we have been encouraged along this path by some in the national media, but obviously he has the flashes. We all see the flashes, and those flashes are going to take us a long way. We are going to believe in this guy for a long time, as long as he is doing plays like he had in that final preseason game. But the idea that I think most Thunder fans believe this, that he is like a core piece going forward is a very big jump to make. And it's actually should make you feel worse about the Thunder's future if you really consider No, I'm serious. If you consider we have to hit on Poku because he is a part of our core going forward, you've already baked that in to your projection of this team going forward, it's going to go bad for you. That could happen, but that is not the most likely outcome here. And so he has to be the most overrated.
Yeah.
As much, and I like him.
Yeah.
Like him
I like him too. Yeah.
He's a
Like
blast.
him too. Yeah. He's great. He's very fun. I'm trying to think of who else would even be a candidate here.
I mean, there's players I individually overrate. I probably overrate Ty Jerome in terms of his impact, but
same.
In terms of fan base wide, it has to be Poku. I mean, when you become memeified in the way that Poku has been, it's very hard to bring that back.
Yeah. Baisley, maybe another candidate.
No, yeah. I feel like this fan base is actually we'll get to. He might be a good candidate going forward, Andrew, for a future superlative.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, it's Poku. It's just too. The thing about him is that he's like 50% player, 50% imagination, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because of his skill set and his size, it's easy to let your imagination run wild about him.
And
And
because he's on a team where he's actually getting minutes. If he was drafted by any
yeah,
other team, we would probably not seen a minute of NBA basketball.
we would see lots of G League stuff
Yes.
from him. And I mean, who knows? Maybe we'll see some G League stuff from him this year. I don't think we will, but who knows? Yeah, I think it's the right choice. Unfortunately, okay. Number 4, the most underrated by the fan base. Al.
I mean, so there are two players that I'm thinking of that have big fans within the fan base, but I would say it's not
Mm-hmm.
the dominant opinion, and that would be Isaiah Roby or Darius Baisley. I think
Okay.
there are definitely segments of the fan base who really believes in those guys in a big way, and but the general consensus isn't as strong for those guys. So if I was going to
Yeah.
pick one, I guess I would pick Isaiah Roby
Okay.
as most underrated.
Okay.
Um, because frankly, last year, like, didn't even rate him. Was was
Yeah.
was I would have put the odds at greater than 50% that he wouldn't even be on the roster this year, like
Sure.
last season.
Uh
So that's pretty easy bar to clear for him at this point. So
Yeah.
that seems like I had way underrated him because now it kind of feels
Hmm.
like, oh, I mean, Roby might be here a little while now.
Yeah.
Um, Baisley, I still like feel more confident in my projection of him. Whereas Isaiah Roby, I feel like I'm starting to be like turned.
Okay. Yeah. I think Ty Jerome might be a little bit underrated just because I think he can really, really shoot it. And he's just somebody that's not really talked about a whole lot for this team. And I think to me, if this team were trying to get to the play in, let's say they were like shifting the rotations around, trying to figure out like what combination of players could help get us to the play in, I think Ty Jerome would be in the rotation.
I think that's true. I would love to see him on another team just to see how real this is. Because
Hmm.
I've been sky high on Ty Jerome until John Hollinger had his first negative tweet about Ty Jerome in the last few weeks. He just an offhand remark watching a preseason game, like, maybe Ty Jerome just isn't quick enough for this league. It was like
Yeah.
and John Hollinger is president of the Ty Jerome fan club. So when he tweeted that, I was like, oh, like my
Yeah.
world just shut down. It's like John Hollinger's turning on him.
Yeah. I saw that. Hollinger clearly thunder negativity going on in the Hollinger brain. You know.
Well, yeah, if you only watch that one game, I could understand why you would be so negative on the team. Well, the Bucks game,
Yeah.
I guess that was.
Yeah. I think that's where a lot of all the thunder negativity is coming from. Is that it was on national television, and they looked like barely an NBA team.
Yes.
It was really bad. That was one of the worst performances I've seen, and I watched all of last season. you know, part of it was that they had their guys, and they still looked really bad.
Yeah.
You know, and like we saw the Bucks last night, like easily handle James Harden and Kevin Durant too. So I mean that's a part of it as well. Is that
So
like the
that might
Bucks? It's a
explain why they were
good team.
able to do so well against Ty Jerome.
Yeah, I explain it. Okay, number 5, the player that contender fan bases put into the trade machine the most. So
Okay.
who is the object of other teams' affection when it comes to like fan bases and who other teams want to get from this team?
So it's gonna be a boring answer, but I'm gonna spin it into something interesting. It's Shea,
Okay.
but the
Yeah.
interesting part of this is the DeAndre Ayton story.
Okay.
So Sam Amick did an interview with James Jones
Mm-hmm.
on the Athletic about them not signing him to extension, which that in and of itself is just like so bizarre to me. Can you imagine Sam Presti just voluntarily giving a giant interview to the Athletic just because they didn't sign someone to an extension. Like imagine Sam Presti
No.
doing a huge interview with like ESPN after the Harden trade. Like that would have just been and like going through all his thoughts about it. Bizarre.
Yeah, but
But
it is, yes.
one of
From
the
that
details
standpoint, bizarre,
that
yes.
came out in that piece was that one of the reasons they may not have wanted to give him the 5-year designated player extension is because you can only have 2 of those players on your roster. So if they
Right.
theoretically wanted to add a third young player to this Suns core going forward, it couldn't be someone like Karl Anthony Towns, or it couldn't be like someone like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander or De'Aaron Fox. And if you go through the comments, it's all Suns fans being like, well, I guess they're going after Fox or SGA. So that's why SGA is a player that's going to be put into a ton of trade machine. And especially like the Thunder are going to be bad this year. And as they, if it really gets bad, like if they're hitting like John Hollinger projection levels bad, like
Yeah,
that's all anyone's going to be talking about from
yeah,
other fans
that's
because they're going to feel like, oh, we can just get him.
we can save him.
Yeah, you just get him when the other
No,
team's bad. They just give them away.
they'll probably just want more picks, you
Yeah,
know?
they probably just want more picks.
Just give them some more pick, you know? The trade James Harden, you know? Like, they didn't
God,
want him. Yeah, that's a hilarious thing from the Suns' standpoint, though. Like, they just made the NBA Finals, and,
I know. Yeah,
oh, we don't wanna give the guy that helped us get there the whole thing because we might be able to get somebody. Like, is this them saying, like, they would like to get into the Ben Simmons conversation? If so, like, what are you trading?
I mean, it would have to be something like Mikal Bridges, which
And you
hey,
can't trade him for a while.
you can't. Once a Sixer, uh, I I'm less like doomsday on this whole Aiton story because
Yeah.
based on that interview, he did say like we were perfectly willing to give him a 4-year max. If they're willing to do that, then then any of these ideas we have about Aiton moving to another team at some point in the future
Yeah.
is not
That's
happening. Because if they're
no.
willing to do the 4-year max, well, that's the best another team can offer. So they're going to match that.
Yeah, you just have to hope he doesn't sign, like, a 3-year deal with somebody else or something like that, you know?
Right.
That
That
would
you're
be, like,
trying to
the
avoid
only.
the Gordon Hayward situation, but even then, he's still going to be on this team for another 4 years, including this year. So,
Mhm.
like, even if you're one of these Thunder fans, like, why don't we go get Aiton? It's like, okay, we'll check back in like 2027 at the earliest,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
whenever
yeah,
that
yeah.
is.
The Thunder are not getting DeAndre Ayton. Ayton is likely not going anywhere. Restricted free agents typically don't go anywhere. Maybe they have a really bad season. Things fall apart. Chris Paul gets hurt. Aiton's still mad. They make like the 8th seed, get bounced in round 1. Then like perhaps you could see a window where it's like, okay, like maybe he's like, get me out of here. Like you need to trade me. You know, like
Yeah.
it's not out of the conversation, but like also if you're the Thunder, like does Aiton take you where you want to go? It would be my question. And it all depends on like let's say they get bad luck again in the lottery and they get like the 4th pick or something like that. And it's a 3-player draft. you know,
Right.
like is DeAndre Ayton going to be the one to deliver you to the top again? Like I think the answer is no. I mean, he was the 3rd best player on some nights, the 4th best player on a title team. Like, do you have do you have 2 or 3 guys that you're certain are going to be better than him?
Yeah. I mean, go read some of the stories from last season about how much it took from Chris Paul and Devin Booker, like, getting him away from video games and to like focus on being a really good NBA player and being like the best he could be. And that's great
Yeah.
that it happened and it got him super far. But like that was 1 year. Chris Paul's not going to be here forever. Like I'm okay with the idea of like forcing him to prove it for one season because they can always give him the max in the future.
Yeah.
And the Sarver is cheap argument works a lot better if they didn't just give like a huge deal to Chris Paul, a huge deal to Mikal Bridges, a huge deal for some reason to Landry Schmidt,
Shame it. Yeah.
like another deal to campaign. Like they're spending money and they're going to be in the tax in the future. I
Yeah.
think I can't tell if this DPE thing is actually the reason they didn't want to go 5 years, or if it's just an
Yeah.
excuse they're making, like in the rearview mirror. But it's something that at least their fan base can talk themselves into, because it
Mhm.
gives you hope. Like, ooh, we're gonna go get a young star to add to this core.
No, you're just most likely going to sign DeAndre Ayton to whatever he wants next summer if
Right.
things go well. Is what will happen. Like if they made it back to the finals again, like you have to sign him to whatever he wants.
Yeah,
You
you do.
know.
And and
Uh,
and they should. Like, I'm not saying that they shouldn't, that what they did was right. Like, yeah, just give him the 5-year
mhm.
deal, because you can always trade him if you really don't like him for whatever reason. But also with the cap going up, like those final couple years, once this new CBA kicks in, it'll probably be like a cheap deal
Mhm.
for a player of his caliber. So
Mhm.
they were dumb, but I also feel like the reaction to it has been a little
Yeah.
overreaction.
Yeah. I think the players Lou Dort. I think that there's a lot of fan bases that could see themselves having Dort either as a starter or coming off the bench, and we've seen him just be really helpful to a winning team in his rookie season. You know, um, that I just think he's too helpful. His salary's really low. I mean, a lot of teams could just kind of just take him and give something very little back. Uh, and teams probably think like, oh, we can get him for a first rounder. And I bet he would just be thrown into the trade machine just a ton, just because I think he's a helpful player from point of attack on defense. I think he's going to make enough threes that convince you that like he could be a guy on a championship level team, like your fourth starter or whatever.
And he doesn't make any money. Like a
Yeah,
player like Marcus Smart, you would tell yourself the same thing, but it's like,
yeah,
well, we have to find a huge matching salary to be even able to think about this.
yeah,
Whereas for most teams, they could literally just send OKC a pick or two
yeah,
and just
yeah,
take Lou Dort.
yeah. It would be very, very easy. Uh, my 3-year-old's yelling about something. I don't know. I think he's yelling at the blender.
Oh,
Okay. Okay, next one. The Moses Brown Award, the young player that will most split the fan base. Wow. Who will this be, Al?
um, yeah. I mean, last year with Moses Brown, definitely there were fans on these extremes of the spectrum, the Moses Brown spectrum. There were people
Yeah.
who legitimately believed he was the future starting center of the Thunder, showing, hey, look at these stats. Historically, no one's ever done this. So that must mean XYZ.
Hmm.
And then there were people like Jay, I feel like from the very beginning, who was never buying it, never
It's
thought
true.
it was real. And so that's the type of player I'm looking for. And this year, I mean, I guess I would say Baisley. I think, I mean, that
Yeah.
that already feels like it's in place. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't think anyone's as low on Baisley as some of us were low on Moses Brown.
Yeah. It's not like he doesn't deserve to be in the NBA. No, he's a
Right.
starting level center.
Right. But
But
there is a
I
huge
think
chasm.
the division will be they should trade him or there's no way they should trade him.
Right.
It's
He's
he
part of the
deserves an
core,
yeah.
obviously.
He deserves an extension versus like he needs to be traded because he shouldn't. He's taking up minutes that are one of our future picks will need or whatever.
Yeah, and like we need to recoup value because it's clear that he is not part of the long-term future. Like
Yeah,
if some other team believes him. So yeah, I definitely think Baisley is going to be a lightning rod this season, Andrew. Every game, if he has an 0 for 5 game from 3, the trade calls will start coming in.
it's very possible. It's very very possible. Gabriel Deck, you think he's divisive?
No. I mean, he probably is, but I still feel like I don't even feel strongly about it. I'm more just confused. So it's not even like I'm at
Yeah,
one end of the spectrum.
yeah. I'm trying to think who else would be divisive. Maybe favors. Maybe people will just fall
No.
in love with Giant Dort.
Yeah, I mean, you know who it could be? It could be Poku, because there's so much
Ooh,
built up goodwill with the
yeah.
majority of the fan base. If he comes out and has a bad season, I could see that splitting the fan base into we need to give up on this guy, move on, versus no, he's still 19 or whatever. What are you talking about?
He's somehow still a teenager. Leave him alone. Yeah, I could see that. I do love the giant Dort stuff with Derek Favors. Wasn't it weird? Is it weird to you? Am I overly obsessed with it? I don't know.
I mean, they had. I mean, the thing that made it look the same is that they had the same accessories. Like they had the headband and they had the same arm sleeve on the same arm.
I know.
Which, by the way,
like giant Dort.
Going back to the Lakers, they had a ton of headbands, but they could have had more because we've seen Russ in a headband. We've also seen Anthony Davis in a headband.
Yep.
And if those two guys would commit to it, this could be like that Nuggets team back with Carmelo and Kenyon Martin and J.R. Smith, where everyone wore a headband. And I would love that. I would love an all headband team.
I'd love that too. I also love the idea of just trying to find every player in the league that looks like Dort and just bringing them on and maybe run a 5 Dort lineup.
That'd be cool. Fine. I mean, or you could do it with Bielitsa, since he looks like David Lee. Maybe we could bring David Lee back.
David Litsa.
David Litsa.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Yeah, I think it's Baisley. I think it'll be Baisley. I think people will want to make a decision on him come trade deadline, and there will be some division on Thunder Twitter as to if they should trade him at the deadline or not. So
yeah, for sure.
Next one, number 7, the Bradley Beal Award, the player that the OKC fan base becomes most obsessed with trading for.
So this, I mean, I feel like Towns is probably, because there's already a strong Towns contingent on every fan base around the league.
Yeah.
I mean, the Suns fans were obviously talking about him because of the connection with Booker. So it makes sense that if they get off to a rough start, Towns will be like the prized possession of every other fan base. And
we have an opening at center.
We do. Like, oh my gosh, it's perfect, Andrew.
Kentucky guy with SGA.
Oh, it fits like a glove.
Chris Fisher with the mispronunciation of his name, Carl Anthony Towns. I mean, there's just a lot there.
That would be fun if we got more hyphenated guys on the team. I'll get behind that. That part of it.
Start JRE next to him.
Yes.
Jeremiah Robinson, Earl, and Shea Gilgeous Alexander, and Carl Anthony Towns.
That would really put Chris Fisher through the ringer having to do that all game.
Because there's a world where next season, if they did trade for him, that they all 3 of them start.
That would be cool. And they're all known by 3-letter abbreviations.
Yep.
Cat, Jerry, SGA. That would be cool. I feel like we're talking ourselves into it now. We're becoming one of the trade for Cat people.
Get Cat. Just go get him.
Get Cat.
Hashtag
right? Get Cat.
Hashtag get Cat. Gabriel Deck plus 3 first-round picks. Is that enough? Who knows? Miguel Davila says get Naw.
Get Naw.
Too. We could have a starting lineup if we got Cat and Naw. Right?
Oh, no. Andrew is frozen.
Am I frozen?
Oh, I'm back.
Okay, we're back. I don't know what happened. Okay. All right, next one is the Hami Award, Hamidou Diallo Award, the young rotation player most likely to be traded.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me in the chat? Am I freezing or is it Alex?
It's probably me. I'll go upstairs. We'll go on a little trip.
Okay, we're going to go on a trip. This is why you should be tuning into our YouTube page. You get to see Alex go on a trip. Across his home, going upstairs.
Alex, a trip. Hey, one of the guinea pigs is having trouble eating. She might have a dental issue. But I started pulverizing her food, and it seems to be helping.
Oh, good.
A guinea pig update for you.
Okay.
Okay. We're settled down here. If you're on YouTube, you can get to see the guinea pigs. They're on my main floor now. They just live with me in my living room.
That's awesome. Okay, the young player most likely to be traded on this squad, Al. Who is it?
I will go with Ty Jerome.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
he still counts as young, I think. Is he 26 yet? No, he's still 24.
Yeah.
Okay, that's young. And as you mentioned, there is a glut of guards on this team, and you
Yeah.
could imagine a scenario where if there's no injuries, it might be hard at some point if they're trying to prioritize Trey Mann's development. That Ty Jerome just doesn't have the minutes, and he could
Mhm.
be someone that would help another team. I think I would be disappointed in the return. I'm already preparing myself now. I would be disappointed. I don't think they'd get a first round pick for Ty Jerome, but I could just imagine a scenario where that happened.
Yeah, I could see that. I think it's probably the same answer as before. I think Darius Baisley is probably the guy most likely to be traded, and he's a little bit like Kami, where you could see Baisley going to another team and looking good. Like that's
Yeah, and
that
he's
wouldn't
also in
shock
that
me.
same year. He's also in like he's going to become extension eligible and all that.
Yep, about to get paid by
Yeah.
somebody. Is it going to be the Thunder? Is the question. So yeah, I could see it being him. Uh, yeah. All right, next one. The Justin Jackson Award. The player most likely to hit a game winner and not be on the team in a year.
Let's could you imagine a Gabriel Deck game winner, Andrew?
No, 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 I could not.
Would that
I
be
could not.
something? A Deck dagger.
A deck dagger. Could you imagine a Paul Watson Jr. game
No,
winning shot?
that one seems less believable to me. I don't think there's a
Really?
no.
He can actually shoot it.
I know, but like what is the scenario? I mean, I guess for all these guys, what is the scenario that they're going to be on the court? But
Yeah. Roby?
mm, no, I'm sticking with Deck. I'm sticking with Deck. They have some.
Okay.
He's bigger, so like
Mm-hmm.
if there are some front court injuries, you could see a scenario where he's forced into a bigger role.
Okay.
What if he hit a turnaround, a Kobe fadeaway, Andrew, to win the game? Wouldn't that be something?
It would be jarring.
And it pushes us from third to fourth in the Tankathon standings. We miss out on generational stars
Oh
because of it.
no. Oh no. Yeah, I mean, we're talking end of the bench type of guy with this one. Um, I guess Favors could hit a little mid ranger and
Possible.
not be on the team. I'll go
Possible.
Favors. I'll go with Derek Favors. All right, last one. The Svi Dunk Award. Player who suddenly reveals an unknown skill this season, and even unknown to himself, because like Svi, I remember asking Svi about it. Halfway through this, like his tenure here in OKC, is like, man, like you've dunked more here than you have in your entire career, all put together. Like, what's going on with that? And he's like, just genuinely like, I don't know. He has no
Yeah.
idea why he was dunking. Um, but yeah, what are your thoughts on what's a skill that one of these guys is going to show that we didn't know they had?
This one's really hard to predict. I mean,
It is. It's. I mean, there's no way you could have predicted that Svi dunking would have been it, and if you did, you would have been like, "That's weird. What a weird prediction to make." You
yeah,
know?
I mean, one's off the top of my head. I'm thinking like if Roby suddenly became good at blocking shots, that
Okay.
would kind of shock me.
Yeah.
If Teo did something explosive, so if Teo started dunking,
Yeah, that would be weird.
that would be weird. Um, trying to think if there would be any others. I mean, that one just came out of the blue for us last year.
It did. This is by far the most difficult one. Just go at the most ridiculous one you could think of. Like that's what you need. That's what you need to do.
Right. The problem is like we already had an idea of what Svi could be and what he
Yeah.
was, which I guess we have that for some of these guys.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's tough. I mean, we'll find out. It'll be someone. Someone has to do it.
I'll say Roby from 3.
Roby from 3 becomes a knockdown 3-point shooter.
Yeah, he's not taking a lot. He'll take 2 a game, but he's hitting like 44%. And we're like, whoa, Roby.
Wow. Hey, I got to get
Roby.
my bold takes in
Yeah, we're having
on
a
the
bold predictions
on the book.
pod on Friday. So yeah, I'll get this all out of your system before the Thunder season starts.
All right. Well, first of all, I'd like to rework your rating scale
Okay.
real quick.
Oh, the spicy scale?
Yes. So the first is a bell pepper,
Okay.
and that should be something that you think has a better than 50% chance of happening already.
Yeah,
Like
just
why'd you even
is.
bother bringing it up?
Yeah.
Next would be jalapeno, and that's where it's like 50-50. Like this could go either way. It is bold in some respect, but not really. Habanero is where you feel like there's a less than 25% chance of it happening.
Mm-hmm.
And then ghost pepper / Carolina Reaper would be
Carolina
less than
Reaper.
10%. But I'm adding a fifth category, and that is
Okay.
drinking gasoline. And this would be a take that, yes, is theoretically possible, but it is less than 1%. So, like, basically not really bold take. So when someone says, oh, Josh Giddey's going to be an all-star this season, like, yes, technically he is eligible for that, but there is no way that is happening. That is not bold. That is crazy. You'd be crazy to drink gasoline.
Yeah, it is bold, but yeah. You watched that video that Jay sent us yesterday, the Carolina Reaper video?
Oh, I watch so many hot pepper videos. That
You do?
oh yeah, I love hot pepper videos. I love them. I mean, I love hot ones, but that guy in that video who invented like a lot of these
the Carolina
peppers,
Reaper. Yeah.
he's nuts, man. He can just eat them straight. There's also this guy, this European guy who eats them, and he has very funny reactions. He like makes all these weird sounds when he gets like really hot. So yeah, I'm real big into hot pepper YouTube.
Okay.
Okay. Nice. So anyways, I've come up with 3 Thunder bold takes and 3 NBA bold takes.
Okay.
If you go back and listen last year, I did very well on my bold takes, Andrew. So here we go.
What were they?
Well, don't ask me. It was like Dort's going to lead the team in 3-point attempts, which seemed bold at the time, and he cleared it easily. I don't remember the other ones. Okay.
Okay, that's okay.
Here we go. NBA, number 1, the Memphis Grizzlies will be a top 6 seed in the Western Conference.
Ooh, that's pretty bold. Yeah.
Top 6 seed. They'll clear the play-in.
Yep.
And I have personally ranked these from least bold to most bold, but it's up to you to decide. Next.
I think that's like habanero.
Okay. Next, the Charlotte Hornets will have a bottom 5 record in the league.
In the NBA?
In the NBA. Bottom 5 record.
There's some hype around them right now.
And I was squashing it right now.
Bottom 5. That's pretty bold. That's Reaper. I feel like that's Reaper bold.
Go look at their roster. Their roster is so young. And and everyone's making this argument like, Kelly Oubre is going to be great for them. Kelly Oubre is terrible. What are you talking about? He doesn't make their team better. He's going to be bad. This team is going to be bad.
This comes from the biggest Oubre lover in the world.
Yeah, well, the tables have turned on me and Kelly Oubre Jr. So I'm way under on the Hornets this year. Bottom 5 record.
Bottom 5 in the NBA.
Yeah, that's right.
Wow, that's a Reaper.
Next, there's my final league-wide bold take. The first significant player traded this season will be Yusuf Nurkic. Now, this is bold because like it's kind of like, you know, you're picking at random. Like it's going to be someone.
Yeah.
I'm staking my claim on Yusuf Nurkic. The idea being they're terrible defensively. And they cannot risk going through this season and doing what they did in previous seasons. And so if they get off to a bad start, the easiest big piece to trade on that team is Yusuf Nurkic because he's in an expiring year. He did not look as fit in preseason as I had been led to believe. He is like huffing and puffing the entire time, probably because he can't play this defensive scheme. But that's the problem. And the reason why I could see them trading Yusuf Nurkic is because you don't have to get back like some amazing starting center. It's not like you have to trade for Cat for this team to be better. You don't even need a stretch five. You just need a center who is more versatile defensively. And so I think they can actually go and get that player. I don't know who that player will be, but I have a feeling that they could do something there because Yusuf Nurkic has also had like really weird quotes about the organization over the past year in Portland. Yeah. Something's off about that situation, and I could just see him being on the chopping block if they get off to a bad start.
I think the boldest part of that is just that Yusuf Nurkic is a big name, I guess.
Oh, come on. Come on. I was actually thinking, who did I think of last night? I thought of a center who makes $10 million a year, who I thought would be a nice fit for Portland that may be gettable, but of course I can't remember it now. Oh, not Derek Favors. that does sound like I was going down that road, but no, it wasn't him. It was someone else. If it comes to me, I'll tell you. Okay, Thunderbolt predictions. Again, less bold to more bold. Number 1, Josh Giddey will lead the Thunder in double doubles. Josh Giddey will lead the Thunder double doubles.
That, I feel like that's a little bell peppery, to be honest.
Bell pepper. So you think there's a better than 50% chance of Josh Giddey leading the Thunder in double doubles?
I guess my question is like, who else it's going to be?
Well, Bays. It could be Bays because he's the highest rebound total.
Yeah.
It could be Shea. I mean, Shea could have a triple double.
The thing with Shea is like he's just the likelihood of him getting to 10 boards or 10 assists on a regular basis is just probably more unlikely. Giddey's a good rebounder.
I know. That's why because you get it with the rebounds and assists. You get the opportunity. Okay, fine. It's a bell pepper. Fine, but I'm still staking my claim on it.
Okay.
And by the way, I like bell peppers. Okay,
yeah.
My next one.
Hey, do you have thoughts on the all-white uniforms? That's something we haven't touched on.
Well,
from PJ.
I had thoughts on the NASCAR uniforms.
Yeah.
Didn't like them. But then Shea came out and seemed to genuinely love them.
Loved them.
Which made me question, am I just a 34-year-old white guy? And there's no chance I'm ever going to have a good take on these? Which is why when that jersey came out, I decided, you know what? I'm sitting this one out. Because what are the chances that my take on a NBA jersey is going to be the correct one? So I am sitting on the sideline for this one. I'm recognizing my place, and we'll see what happens. I do not think any jersey really looks good when it is just a flat image like that.
Yeah.
It's possible these end up looking cool. It's possible. And and after what happened with the NASCAR thing and Shea, I'm just open. I'm open to whatever happens.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm of the opinion that you need to see them on the players before you rush to judgment as well. So I have not even commented on it at all. So
and if your friends and family don't consider you like a fashion icon, like what are the chances you have the right take on this? Okay.
Quite low. Okay. Continue.
Next, two more. These are my Thunderbolt takes. Next one, the Thunder will have one player with a PER greater than 15. One player, which, hey, it could be anyone you want. You pick. I personally would choose Shea, but you can pick whoever you want. Thunder will have one player with a PER greater than 15.
Wow. What was it last year?
There were a couple. I mean, like, big men are typically who gets it. So it's like, like Moses.
They had a lot. They had 8.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. It's bold.
Bell pepper, then.
Oh, I thought of the center. Would Portland be better? Would Portland be better with Nerlens Noel instead of Yusuf Nurkic? And I know, honestly, like, what are they now? So you're saying that they're going to be worse than that? I think they would be a better team defensively simply because he can do more things defensively than Yusuf Nurkic. He's a way better rim protector. He can switch. Like, you don't need him to do a
Kind
lot on
of.
offense with so many shooters. I mean, they have Dame, CJ, Norm Powell, Robert Covington. Like, they have shooters.
Yeah.
I
He
would
just can't.
rather have Nerlens on that team than Yusuf Nurkic.
He just can't catch at all.
He doesn't need to.
I mean, you kind of need to. If you're going to
Mm-mm,
be the
mm-mm.
starting center, you
He
kind of need to be able to
he
catch
was
the ball.
great last year for the Knicks. Anyways, my final
Okay.
Thunderbolt take.
Mm-hmm.
Lou Dort will shoot a better percentage from 3 than Kenny Hustle, who was the team leader in 3-point percentage last year at 44.4%.
You're not going too bold on your Thunder takes, Al.
How is that not bold?
I don't know. I mean, you just look at the history of Kenny Hustle shooting. It's not hard to see him,
Okay, but imagine
crashing back down to earth.
Okay, but imagine that you weren't as in tune with Kenny Hustle's previous stats and you were just a listener out there. I wish you had.
Andrew, imagine if you were dumber.
No, I was
would you-
about to. I was about to say, imagine you were a down to dunk listener who I do not think are dumb, and you watched Kenny Hustle on. I was going to say decent volume, but you took more than 3 per game. Shot
Mhm.
44.4%,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm saying that Lou Dort, who shot 10 percentage points lower, 34%, is going to do better
Yeah.
than Kenny Hustle.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you jalapeno. I won't go full bell pepper.
What did you give me for the PER one?
You would think that only one will do it.
Yeah.
It's bold that no one will do it. Is basically what you're saying.
No, it's a rare thing to happen. So because PER 15 is seen as like a quote unquote average NBA player.
Yeah,
so I'm saying that literally only one guy on the roster will end the season above that.
I mean, it's probably Reaper because like the odds that actually happens are pretty low.
Thank you.
Pretty low because I mean, you look at the list. Like Gabriel Deck had a 16 PER last year.
Yeah.
His obviously very, very limited time.
Hey, Hoopstock69 said Al going heel and calling us all dumb. I'm not. Andrew did.
Oh, Al, do you have a win total, a prediction for total wins the Thunder will have?
What feels good? I haven't thought about this yet. I will go 20 wins.
Okay, 20 wins.
20.
Okay. Well, there it is. All right. Season starts tonight, Al. Tonight.
Excited. Very excited.
I cannot wait. Hey, if you're also excited about the season and want to see the Thunder play in person, November 15th here in Oklahoma City. It's a Monday night. You can buy a ticket. Go to the Down to Dunk Twitter page. It's our pinned tweet. Click the link. Go buy a ticket. You can sit with everybody that buys a ticket for the Down to Dunk crew. You get a pregame pod at the Tap House across the street from the arena. Really, anybody can show up to that as long as there's room. But if you have a ticket, you are guaranteed a spot for the live pod before. Alex will be there. And then after that, we'll go watch a game together. We will get to go on the court together after the game.
I'm legitimately excited for that because when I was at OU, I took multiple gym classes, and all I would do the entire class was shoot half-court shots. I spent semesters doing that, so I'm ready. 3-step chest pass. Get ready, Andrew. I have my form down.
I cannot wait. We will. Actually, one of my friends is going to be making a video for this, so you could be a part of this Down to Dunk video. So there's just a lot to take part in. So November 15th, buy a ticket. You can buy them online. You get a free you get a t-shirt, you get a ticket, and you get a spot for the Down to Dunk podcast. Excuse me, before the game. And then you get a chance to win a pretty cool Thunder prize if you make a half-court shot. So be sure to buy your tickets. Get them today because I think there's very, very few left that will guarantee you all of that. So please do that. Hope you guys have a great day. Enjoy the game tonight. And we'll talk to you guys again on Friday.